What's up, weirdos? What's going on, guys? How the hell are you? How the hell are you today? It's a good day to have a good day, guys. Let's hammer through this. Happy Halloween. Halloween edition, baby. I didn't even think to put a costume on. I'm sorry. Here's me face, right? I'm Santa Claus for Christmas, right? Or for Halloween. There you go. Boom. Right? All right. Trick or treat. What's going on, guys? I'm going to address the Miria FUD right off the hop so that I don't have to talk about it again in the stream. Am I worried about Miria and a potential delisting on Caleb and Brown? No, for a couple of reasons. One, Caleb and Brown is not an exchange. It's a brokerage. The volume is extremely low on a project like Miria on an exchange like Caleb and Brown. So no, I am not afraid of that. Two, they also said, someone sent me a copy of the email, that they are looking at potentially relisting it when altcoin season hits. So you probably will see it relisted over there then. And three, they said that if you hold your Miria there right now, you do not have to sell it. You do not have to move it. You can sell it later on Caleb and Brown when altcoin season hits. So nothing has changed for you if your plan was to have Caleb and Brown sell your Miria because you're in a difficult location for off-ramping your Miria. So for those reasons, no, I'm not worried about it at all. Okay? It's the same thing that happened when Miria is getting delisted from Bybit, I think, on their futures listings, and people were starting to spread it around like wildfire, like it was a spot delisting. It's always important to do your research, guys, and know the difference when it comes to these things, because otherwise you just spiral out of control over a nothing burger, right? A spot delisting is what matters. A futures delisting simply means that the trading volume in terms of leverage trading and stuff is very low on a project like Miria, which means people who are trading don't look at the Miria chart and see it as a easier project to kind of project in terms of price appreciation or depreciation. So it's harder for them to read the chart. So they don't usually use Miria as a project for leverage trading. So the exchange doesn't make much money on trading fees as a result. Therefore, they replace that trading pair with something that people will leverage trade, okay? that doesn't mean it's being spot delisted from somewhere and that you can't buy it there anymore. It's always important to do your research. It's always important to confirm these things by yourself. Don't just take what people say and run with it and start spreading it around. That's how you spread fear, uncertainty, and what? Doubt. Exactly. So, I have addressed the Miria FUD. I'm not concerned at all. That being said, let's see what we see, guys. Let's get the Bitcoin chart up on the screen. I don't got the horn, so I'm just going to do it with my mouth. There you go. Boom. Bitcoin rejecting off 110,580 and back down below the 200-day moving average, $109,270. Let's get into these super chats. Big Kev says the first thing to keep in mind is today is a good day to have a good day. Amen to that, guys. It's Halloween. Come on. Today might be the trick, but the treat is coming soon. Can I get an amen? Isaac, my dude, first Pokemon of the day. What's up, buddy? Are you taking the little one trick-or-treating today? Yes. We're going to go briefly trick-or-treating to visit Grandma. And then we're going to the church, actually, when everyone else is trick-or-treating. We will be at the church because there is an event at the church instead on Halloween. So as Christians, we don't really celebrate Halloween that much. So, yeah. Jimmy, what's up, buddy? Thank you so much for the super sticker. My guy, my dude, my brother from another mother. Absolutely. All right, guys, we have 131 people watching. We have, how many people hit the like? 33 likes, guys. Let's get to 100 likes. It's Halloween. Don't be that guy, right? Don't be that guy. Smash the like button. All right, let's dive into the chat just a wee bit. Let me scroll up to the top here. H. Barbarina in the house. What's happening, my dude, my guy? Always here supporting the channel. William also always here. Good, reliable William. What's up, buddy? John, super fantastic. Smash, do like, do it. Chris says, Jesus is king. As always, amen to that. Yes, he is my Lord and Savior. Isaac says, so I finally took out just a little bit of crypto to help me out here at home, but I'm sitting on the rest till we hit our price targets. There you go. There you go, brother. Yes, guys, make sure you hit the like and subscribe on the way in. It's free to do. Cost you nothing. Yes, 143 people watching. Did we get the likes up a little bit? 48, not bad. Not bad. We're almost halfway there, guys. Let's get it. Let's get 100. We're also dual streaming over on Rumble and on X, so make sure you're following us on those platforms as well. EZ says, as GG says, happy Halloween. Quentin, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, my dude. Jack Sparrow says, what's up, man? We need to get the meow meow option back on the poll. Let's go. Beast mode. 1 year ago, most people wouldn't have dreamed how much DCAing opportunity to 1 year later. Be grateful. It's a blessing. Amen to that, my friend. Bruno, what's going on, my guy? Good to see you. What's up, man? Good to see you, Dave. Good to see you. Steve says, hilarious thinking. ETH to 20K. Well, I'm glad you feel that way, my friend. But opinions are like arseholes, right? Henry, what's up, man? I sent you an email. Please read it. I will, my friend. It's just a busy, busy day for me today. Kay Lily's in the house. What's going down? Mirded, my guy. You think if I move out of honey and buy back in after it drops, since we're still moving down? Yes, I do think that would make logical sense if you were in the green on honey. It is up 68% on the day. Not bad. Dion, what's up, buddy? Trick or treat, man. Hybrid Dad, Steve Jones, you, my friend, have a hilarious mindset. Yes. Dustin says, low prices everywhere. Let's get it. Ray, happy Halloween. Smash the like buttons, brother. Absolutely. EZ says, all gaming plays way down we go. Oh. Miria isn't isolated in price action. Exactly. What do we got? XRP will be worth $20 before ETH ever sees. Okay. XRP Maxi in the house. Hey, we love XRP here too, so that's not bad. That's not bad. Ray says, this is why I love following you, Rob. You find out the facts from FUD. Yes, absolutely, brother. Jared says, I get extra candy today because it's my birthday tomorrow. Love Halloween. Let's go diabetes. Let's get it. Jared, that COAI project was just listed on BTCC Futures. Yes, I shared that over on X. It's on my list of deep dive videos to do, is a comprehensive deep dive into the COAI. So Victor says, back to normal phase complete. Now entering denial, then capitulation below 100K. Okay, if you say so. I just discovered Clanker. Nice. Isaac says, eager to see BTC go down to 102K. Let's get it done. Mirrodit says, what if I am still in the red? Then, you know me, man. You know my philosophy. I never sell red. Never financial advice. Beebs, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Joshua says, quick possible TA on ZBEC for the month. Altcoin requests, yes, those go in the form of a super chat, my friend. Kai, thanks for explaining on Myria. I got your back, brother. Happy Halloween, says Joshua. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. We are through the chat. Let's get into the news, guys. It's not going to be an incredibly long stream today, but it will be entertaining nevertheless. Nevertheless. All right, what do we got? Ethereum repeats 2020 pattern as analysts eye 20K target. Let's get into it. Ethereum is showing renewed momentum, climbing at 2.16% in 24 hours to trade at $3,857 according to CoinMarketCap data. The world's second largest cryptocurrency now boasts a $465.6 billion market cap with a daily trading volume of 37.6 billion, despite a minor pullback from yesterday's surge. Brandon says, ZBEC Army, holler if you hear me. After briefly dipping to $3,700, Ethereum has rebounded strongly, with market analysis pointing to the same consolidation and breakout structure that preceded its explosive rally in 2020-2021. Prominent traders shared a weekly chart comparing Ethereum's current setup to its 2020 cycle. Both patterns show a retest of horizontal resistance before a powerful breakout. Same retest, same structure. He wrote 8K is FUD, 20K is the real target. If the patterns hold, Ethereum could be entering the early stages of a multi-year bull leg, mirroring the last time Ethereum broke consolidation and rallied 10x into its all-time highs. Supporting this view, Michael Vandepop highlighted a similar signal in the broader altcoin market capitalization, noting a massive bullish candle forming just below all-time highs. The trend remains upward, he said. We're facing the all-time high breakout soon. What follows could be the biggest bull run ever. Despite the optimism from long-term analysts, on-chain sentiment tells a different short-term story. According to Sentiment, Ethereum's drop to 3.7K earlier this week triggered a spike in short positions across major exchanges as traders bet against further upside. Historically, however, such conditions have often preceded sharp rebounds. Sentiment data shows that when shorts dominate, as they do now, Ethereum tends to bounce, while over-leveraged longs usually mark local tops. So a short squeeze in the cards, maybe. This dynamic has played out multiple times since September, with Ethereum's price rebounding each time funding rates flipped heavily negative. The current Ethereum USD structure features the same retest of a long-held resistance zone around $3,800 to $3,900, a level that capped Ethereum's advances for much of 2024 on the weekly chart. The move resembles a 2020 breakout from the $350 level, which preceded Ethereum's run to $4,200 the following year. If this fractal continues, analysts argue Ethereum's next rally could aim towards $8,000 psychological level in a short to medium term, with a long-term potential towards $20,000 if macro and ETF tailwinds align in 2026. The road ahead for Ethereum, for now, Ethereum's resilience above $3,850 is a key signal. As short sellers crowd the funding rates turn negative, the setup increasingly mirrors a shakeout before a breakout pattern that defines early bull cycles. In the words of Michael Vandepop, the biggest bull run ever may not be far off. And if his comparison holds true, our Dizer's comparison holds true, Ethereum could once again turn skepticism into historic upward explosions. So here's the thing, guys. If you're in the comment section, if you're in the chat, if you're over on X, if you're being overly negative and you're making all of these derogatory comments, and this is your first cycle, you don't even know what you're talking about. You've only been here for a cup of coffee. You're gonna cringe at your own comments when everything's going crazy. You're gonna sit back and go, man, I was actually publicly saying all of these toxic things. Now I look like a fool. So knock it off. It's a good day to have a good day, right? Buckle up. Buckle up. All right. Nothing like having a little Tom Emmer on Squawk Box, guys, talking about the government shutdown. I love me some Tom Emmer.
On day 31 of the government shutdown, join us now with where things stand and President Trump's call for the Senate Republicans to end the filibuster rule. House Majority Whip Congressman Tom Emmer, good morning to you. Let's start with what the president said overnight and this very idea of ending the filibuster. Where do you stand?
I understand he's frustrated. I'm not going to get into the Senate's business, their institution they're responsible for. But the president's frustrated just like all the rest of us are. This is getting incredibly serious. We're on day 31. You already have 65,000 small businesses that have lost $12 billion. These are businesses that contract with the United States government. They've already lost $12 billion in this first month. These are small businesses across the country. And by the way, they're contractors, federal contractors, unlike federal employees that usually get back pay.
Right.
They don't. They just lose the money. This week, air traffic controllers didn't get a paycheck on Tuesday.
Right.
More federal employees didn't get one yesterday. You've got SNAP benefits being interrupted tomorrow on Saturday, November 1st. That's going to affect 42 million low-income Americans. And there's a whole bunch of other consequences. So I understand his frustration. We've got to get the government back open so that we can get back.
But on the particular point that he's raising about ending the filibuster, which has been an issue that's been raised as long as I can remember over the years, but the Senate hasn't done it. You must have a thought about it.
I wish I could be focused on what the Senate's parliamentarian and their rules are. That's not my problem. My problem is dealing with 435 members of the U.S. House of Representatives. Again, we only have to have a simple majority to pass something across. We did this back on September 19th. They got to have 60 votes.
Let me ask you a different question. There are a number of proposals to effectively keep SNAP benefits rolling, to keep TSA folks getting paid or things like that without technically reopening the government and allowing this government shutdown to continue. Do you support any of those proposals?
They can solve the problem today by passing the clean CR. And by the way, you can talk about all those proposals you want. I understand that Democrats who now have their constituents that are being held hostage by Chuck Schumer and their colleagues in the Senate, they want to be able to vote again and say, well, I voted for that. But the problem is we had a vote last week in the Senate to fund essential employees, which included our military and other federal employees. And guess what? Democrats in the Senate voted that down, too. So, no, the answer is pass the clean CR, which, by the way, Chuck Schumer and company voted for 6 months ago. And I don't think people understand when you say he also voted for the exact same CR 13 times under the Biden administration. Andrew, Chuck Schumer wrote the CR. That's the just vote for the CR and people will stop getting hurt.
What do you, in terms of obviously there's finger pointing on all sides and the Democrats are trying to blame the Republicans and the Republicans are trying to blame the Democrats and all of the same. But at what point do you think that at what point is the inflection point that either forces Democrats to to pass the CR cleanly, or given that they've held out this long, do you think that they need something? I don't know what something even is. I mean, obviously they're pushing on the healthcare issue, but is there something that the Republicans give so that you get to that place? And I'm not suggesting you should be doing that. I'm just suggesting from a practical perspective how both sides can get to yes.
Well, as you know, I believe they should come in today. They should vote and pass it immediately, and President Trump will sign it, and we'll be up and running, and people will stop getting hurt. In the meantime, I think it started this week. You know, up till now, the vast majority, outside of those 65,000 some small businesses across the country, and by the way, the majority of those federal contractors are in the states of Maryland and Virginia. So you would think those Democrat senators would want to put those businesses and the people that are running them ahead of their partisan politics. But right. I think it started on Monday, when the largest federal government employee union, the American Federation of Government Employees, there's 1.4 million federal employees in this country. They represent roughly 820,000. They sent a letter on Monday saying, and it wasn't directed to one or the other, it just simply said, pass the clean right. CR. I think that was the beginning. And sadly, I think because what Chuck Schumer and company have done, which is basically take a knee to the most extreme side of their party, they are going to wait until after the elections next Tuesday before they can say, oh, we fought harder than anybody else. We've set the record for a government shutdown. We're right. Republicans are bad.
What? How do we, like, what? Where do you see this breaking?
Then I think they passed the clean CR.
As the whip, you see this? You think they passed the clean CR with Chuck Schumer saying, yes, let's do this, or you think you peel
well, I don't know if it's
Chuck
Schumer. I'm not going to make that prediction. Right. It could be some of the more moderates, like it could be the two senators from Virginia, the two senators from Maryland. It could be a senator that's up for re-election down in Georgia who's got one of the largest number of federal employees and servicemen and women that are going to be impacted. I don't know that it'll be Chuck Schumer's leadership because he hasn't shown that so far. Are
we here a week from now, or do you think we have this? What's your timeline on it? If you had to make an estimate.
I'm not the one making the
but you understand this.
I'm telling you that sadly, I think their next inflection point is next Tuesday.
Okay.
Literally, if they try to reopen the government beforehand, the very people that they're afraid of in their party will absolutely destroy them and may not show up Tuesday. So they keep the government closed through Tuesday, harm American people just to make a statement.
Let me ask you another question. How much, in terms of whatever that thing that turns this over, so we get past Tuesday, maybe Tuesday is the day, but then there's another issue, which is it the constituents that require, that are relying on SNAP that you think start calling, their congressman, their senator? Is that what pushes this over?
Or is it a
TSA situation where the lines become so crazy, where flights are not taking off? Where, by the way, senators and congressmen, you're flying around the country right now, can't actually get where they want to go.
No, I had to drive, Andrew.
Oh, did you actually drive here?
Oh yeah, I had to drive last night because there was a complete meltdown. Ground stop in DCA, LaGuardia had issues. There were, you've seen ground stops in Dallas, in Newark.
Okay, so but there's part of me that, and this it's a sad commentary on America if it's actually the airlines rather than the folks who need SNAP to eat. But what is the issue you think that actually tips the balance?
First off, I would say this. When Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats decided to take us into a shutdown, they should have written the book on government shutdowns. It was written by Republicans. We understand and we learn that you do not leverage your policy provisions from the minority with a government shutdown. Certainly, that's number one. Certainly, number two, if you do the shutdown, you better have an exit strategy. They clearly did not have an exit strategy. So look, back in 2019 when Republicans were in this place, it will be those 42 million low-income Americans, but you'll remember that a bunch of air traffic controllers did not come into work. It shut down LaGuardia back in 2019, and the government, lo and behold, was open.
That healthcare costs do go up, and they will in certain parts of the country. There's no question that that's directionally where this is going to go. Do you think Democrats will get any credit when this is all over for raising the red flag on that? And what does that do to some of your constituents and others in red states?
Well, they can try to claim the high ground on that. But remember, the alternative proposal that Chuck Schumer and company filed in the Senate makes it very clear that their argument about health care is completely false. One, they have it in writing that they would undo the reforms that Republicans did last summer, and they would put illegal aliens back on taxpayer-funded health care. Two, if it's about health care, why do they want to blow up the $50 billion rural health care fund? The other thing I would say to you, Andrew, is read what they filed. 60-some pages, I want to say it's 66 pages, easy to read. Guess what? 1.5 pages of that thing, roughly, refer to those enhanced tax credits that you're talking about. The rest talks about funds for Sesame Street in Iraq and other programs all around the globe that Americans outright voted against last November. That is not the priority of America. I believe Republicans are going to move us forward, and we got to reform the system. But you got to open up the government first before you can get to that.
Wait. What do you mean we can't have Sesame Street in the Middle East? What the heck's going on here? Isn't that, we got to get our priorities straight. If we can't get Sesame Street in the Middle East, what the hell are we doing here, right? That should be priority number one with taxpayer money. Sesame Street in the Middle East. Let's go. Fed stance on December rate cut remains data dependent. Let me get through a couple of these chats first here. Ramona says, happy Friday, everyone. Please hit the like and subscribe here and on Crypto Blueprint. And follow us on X. Follow us on Rumble as well. We are live streaming on both of those platforms right now. Yes, it helps, and it does not cost a penny. Ramona also gifts out 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Ramona. Make sure you guys say thank you to Ramona if you received a gifted membership. Jared says, how else are we supposed to have peace without Sesame Street? Exactly. Tragedy, he had to drive, yes. Too bad they can't just pay the people. Yeah, exactly. Jack Sparrow says, if we don't drop to 102.9 till the weekly close this Sunday, is the 50 moving average the same price target for next week? No, it moves up. Every week that the price of Bitcoin is above it, it pulls it upward. Same thing below, right? It pulls it downward. So no, it would probably be somewhere around, I want to say 103,300, 103,400, somewhere around there next week if we don't hit it by next week. So the price would go up. The target would go up, essentially. Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic announced on November 1st, that's pretty crazy, because are we in a time machine? Because it's October 31st today, at a Dallas Fed event, that the December rate cut is not predetermined and emphasized the need for data-driven decisions. This announcement significantly impacts cryptocurrency markets, causing fluctuations in Bitcoin and Ethereum prices, with institutional investors reassessing positions amid continued interest rate uncertainty. Atlanta Fed President, yeah, we already talked about that. The cryptocurrency market responded immediately. To the Fed statement, particularly those involving potential changes to interest rate expectations. Notably, Bitcoin's price dipped below 109,000 following his remarks. Liquidations amounting to 41 million predominantly affected long positions, signaling a shift in market sentiment. Now we're currently at 109,500. In the broader markets response, large institutional players such as BlackRock adjusted their actions, moving significant assets into exchanges, potentially suggesting strategic maneuvers amid macroeconomic uncertainty. Did you know historically uncertain Fed policies have led to price volatility in Bitcoin, reflecting similar trends observed during the previous deferrals and interest rate changes? Yeah, the Fed's being unclear about what they're going to do with rate cuts. Big surprise. They're probably going to cut rates nevertheless. XRP whale indicator turns bullish after 4 months. 103 Jake knows, yes. All right, XRP has experienced significant whale accumulation in October, of 2025 as major on-chain indicators turn bullish, suggesting potential for a price rally. This accumulation tightens XRP's supply, influencing price dynamics and potentially spurring market interests amid institutional investment shifts. Recent data reveals a bullish shift in the XRP whale indicator, with major accumulation from whales for the first time in 4 months, marking a significant market change. In October of 2025, whales accumulated over $560 million in XRP, indicating a strategic buildup that may influence market directions. This trend affects market dynamics through reduced exchange reserves as XRP supply tightens on leading platforms. The institutional landscape adapts as Evernorth commits $1 billion to XRP, potentially signaling greater enterprise adoption. Historical precedent shows similar accumulation events that preceded price rallies in XRPs, paralleling 2017 and 2021's cycles. Anticipated regulatory outcomes, such as the SEC's decision on an XRP ETF, could augment institutional investment with robust on-chain data. So just waiting on a spot XRP ETF, potentially. Beeb says, Rob, what's the Bitcoin price you're watching for tonight's monthly close? Thanks. I'm not even really paying attention to the monthly close for Bitcoin. What I'm watching is the weekly, because we need to drop down to $102,800 to bounce off the 50 on the weekly time frame. So that's what I'm paying attention to. But on the monthly, for us to move in a upward trajectory, let me have a look. Yeah, it's not going to save us. But I will say this: we are forming on the monthly time frame a little bit of a bull pennant here. I'll show you. So if we look at Bitcoin on the monthly, we got a bit of a bull pennant forming right here, guys. Boom. Right? Now, if this broke out on the monthly time frame from the start, we would see a move somewhere in the range of about $143,000 on the breakout of this bull pennant for Bitcoin on the monthly time frame, which is very bullish on the monthly. The higher time frames, the more likely the pattern plays out, right? So very bullish potential here on the monthly for Bitcoin for sure, which coincides with a dip down to 102.8, and then we go from there to the upside, right? Aggressively. Crypto J505 XRP spot ETF goes live for Canary Capital on November 14th. Let's go, baby. Let's go. We'll see what happens with the price action. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Back over to, well, we got time. Back over to Squawk Box here. Paul Atkins on Squawk Box.
I want to get back to SEC Chairman Paul Atkins. We had a little technical snafu. The government shutdown had nothing to do with it, but I made a bad joke about that. It's nice to see you, sir.
Good to see you too, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
So how is this government shutdown affecting you? How do you think it's affecting the markets? I know there's a number of companies that have sought to go public, and I imagine there's going to be some delays at the minimum.
Yes, well, I mean, obviously it does affect us. We have about 4,000 employees altogether, and about only 10% are able to work during this shutdown. But we're trying to make accommodations. Obviously, we're still monitoring the markets and doing that. We're still processing some registration statements and other filings, and the staff is able to, of course, focus on enforcement issues and things that have deadlines and so forth. So we're still working, still monitoring, still doing our job there to protect investors.
I was going back and looking, and you told our colleagues last week the shutdown, you had stopped trading on 8 foreign companies on the NASDAQ that were indicating manipulative behavior. And I'm curious where that stands today and whether you've been able to work on that given some of the issues this government shutdown might present.
Yeah, well, so that's very important. So there are analysis that indicated, as you said, about 8 companies. This is over a period of a few weeks, but where we call it ramping and dumping. So where there was unexpected and unexplained increases pretty dramatically in penny stocks, basically from overseas. And so we were able to stop trading on those because of make a finding that it was necessary to do. Been working with NASDAQ and then FINRA as well. So we're trying to police this, but it's American investors who will be harmed by this sort of activity.
You know, a lot of folks that we have on the broadcast these days come on and say there is some form of an AI bubble. By the way, I sometimes say there's an AI bubble of some sort. What I don't know is, A, whether you think there's a bubble, but B, even if you thought there was a bubble, if there's something that the SEC should be doing about that.
Well, you know, markets will be markets, and people should be free, obviously, to invest in what they want to invest in. And so it's not for us to say we're not a merit regulator and we're not the big daddy over the marketplace and over investors.
The opposite of
but at the same time, we'll look for manipulative behavior and take action where appropriate. And so, you know, we will, we're obviously focused on making sure that the rules and the laws are being followed.
Right. How do you feel about some of the transactions that are taking place? People call them round-trip deals, circular deals. They appear to be disclosed, meaning we're talking about them here because we know about them. But there are these transactions that people are raising red flags about.
Well, so again, I can't talk about any specifics, but of course, again, we're monitoring the markets and we'll bring actions where necessary and indicated. So, but at any point of time in history, there's always been people who try to do things in the marketplace, and so we stand ready to take action where necessary.
Let me ask you a different question about some of the new products that are coming to market, and a letter I believe you received from Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. This is expressing their concerns about President Trump's EO that would effectively expand access to private markets, crypto, and other things in retirement plans. What kind of concerns do you have about those products, what they look like, what kind of transparency they have, what kind of auditing they have, and the like?
Well, like as you said, President Trump issued an executive order regarding the ability for retirement plans and other sorts of long-term savings plans to be able to access alternative investments. And so as far as the retirement investments go, we're working with the Department of Labor. And of course, all this is affected by the shutdown, so we haven't really been able to make much progress. But basically, we will be working with the Secretary and Deputy Secretary and others at the Department of Labor, have already met with them. And we will be plotting out a course to study and then make proposals for these sorts of retirement plans to be able to access alternative investments, but within guardrails. So we're not just going to fling the gates wide open. And then on the individual elective investment side, we will be looking at the accredited investor standard, which is a very kind of a hard bludgeon sort of thing as far as trying to determine who's sophisticated and not. Is that still something that we should, have or modify? There are other ways to do things to have some sort of a guardrail around who's able to access those sorts of products.
Can I try out an idea on you? So I'm fascinated by these new sort of venture capital and private equity and other kinds of instruments that would likely be what are called semi-liquid instruments. And actually, I think they are very exciting instruments to a large degree. In the context of retirement, though, I wonder whether they should have effectively a target date on them such that, for most people, they will look like a stock. You could buy them on any day, but the truth is because they're semi-liquid products, potentially you may not be able to all sell them on the same day if you so wanted to. And so while someone who's 20 or 30 or 40 years old might be able to buy them with a 20 or 30-year time horizon without a problem, if you're someone who's a 65-year-old or 70-year-old, these products may not be your friend in a crisis or a panic or something else. And so I wonder whether they should actually be dated in the context of retirement programs against your age, meaning that you can't, not that you effectively you can't buy them or you shouldn't be owning them at a certain age. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, well, so that's building on products that the market has experience with. So target date funds obviously are out there in various sorts of retirement plans. And then we have interval funds, those sorts of things, closed-end funds that have various restrictions on redemptions and so forth. So that sounds like a great way to explore something that, it almost sounds like the date that you have on your milk carton or something like that, best by or best until. So anyway, so that's...
and the big other question with some of these instruments is because they're holding effectively private assets that typically don't have the same kind of disclosure requirements as a typical public company, if you will, whether there should be different auditing requirements by third parties and the like that effectively are approving of, or not just approving of, but maybe deciding what the quote NAV is, meaning what the valuation of the funds are at any particular moment, as opposed to allowing the quote unquote managers of these funds to determine that.
Right. Well, so we do have, with respect to, the various types of funds out there, certainly in the public sector, mutual funds and so forth, the net asset value is, there's lots of regulation regarding that and how it's to be valued, and FASB and so forth. The Financial Accounting Standards Board has their principles out there that apply. With respect to private funds, it's a little different. Obviously, that's a lot of, sometimes it depends on the governing documents on how the valuation goes. There are boards that oversee it. And then also with respect to retirement plans, there's a fiduciary, a board of directors and trustees that oversees the proper investments for those funds. So with all of this, that is, you've hit the nail on the head as far as valuation and liquidity and those sorts of things. That's very crucial for us to oversee what, guidelines for trustees to be putting assets in when they're for retirement fund.
Chairman, you've been talking a lot about crypto trust in the marketplace. There have been a lot of questions about the pardoning of CZ, the founder of Binance, and then what looks like this deal between World Liberty Financial and the Trump family. And I'm curious, just as somebody in your role, and I know you're in the administration and were appointed by this president, but what you think of that in terms of the credibility issues that, at least questions that it creates in the marketplace.
Well, I'll answer that question after you audit Elizabeth Warren for insider trading and how she makes about $200,000 a year, but is worth 8 figures. That's when we should answer that question. Talk about credibility.
The president has powers for pardoning, and so his decisions, I think, we obviously follow them, and I think the market ultimately decides what happens to various companies and investments and the like. So, clearly, we are focusing on our obligations as far as overseeing the market and enforcing the laws, and so we will abide by that and obviously go forth with respect to those sorts of things.
So he says, none of my business. What do I care? What do I care what the Donald does? Huh? What do I care what the Donald does? Where do we have this here? What's going on? Bullish structure on Bitcoin on the monthly time frame. Candyman says, I went to the antique auction yesterday. 3 people bid on me. You feeling old today, hey, brother? Feeling old. Sam, what's up, buddy? He's back, baby. Back from the boat. Made a killing out there. Now I'm just ready to see how the market runs for the holiday. Let's go, baby. Devin says, can I do TA on Zbeck? You know what? For you, I will. Zbeck is simply put in an accumulation zone. If we go back in time, so the last time Zbeck was in an accumulation zone was back here. Now what happened? We had 3 touches. One. Let's get it. Let me get my touch pen out here. We had 1, 2, 3 touches. Then we had the breakout, failed breakout, came back inside, and then we broke out later, and we had a monster move to the upside as a result. What's happening right now? Well, my friend, the same thing is happening again right now on ZBEC. We are in an accumulation zone. 1 touch, 2 touches, likely going to have a 3rd touch coming up. Then we'll probably have the breakout after that, right? That's what I'm watching for on ZBEC. Now, I talked about accumulation zones in a Patreon live stream with Rue and Max, I think about a week ago. And I told you guys that, like, so many people get fearful and complacent when their favorite projects are in accumulation zones. The very phrase, there's a reason that this is called an accumulation zone. It's for accumulating, right? Not financial advice. I'm only here to entertain and educate you. But an accumulation zone is just that. It's a zone where people should be accumulating, because the last time, like I said, look at the monster move that happened on the breakout from that accumulation zone. Same thing's happening again. It's repeating. And what do we have? We have an accumulation zone. So what comes after that? Probably a breakout. Let me have a look at Miria. Is Miria in an accumulation zone as well? Miria is in a falling wedge. This thing's going to break monstrous to the upside, in my opinion. Still inside of its structure. This falling wedge pattern, very, very bullish structure. This thing's going to move up hard. When this thing breaks, it's going to move pretty quickly up to that 2011 level in pretty quick order. And everyone who's accumulating, in my opinion, down in this area is going to make a killing when it makes that run back up. So I understand people are fearful and stuff like that, but scared money don't make money at the end of the day, right? So Candyman says, if I had another 10K, I would grab more Miria. Hey, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Amen to that. All right, guys, I got to get over to the Patreon. I got some live coaching calls, one-on-one coaching calls I got to do over there. Get over there, book your coaching calls. If you're feeling concerned, if you don't know what's going on, if you want to know how I navigated my first cycle, and you want to chat about what I went through and how I overcame all of the obstacles and challenges, get over to the Patreon, book a one-on-one coaching call, or join one of our group coaching calls, right? Check it out today, guys. The link is down below. It's in the description. It's in the QR code in the top corner of your screen. I will also be dropping another trading video for our trading group over there. Check that out. We've been crushing it in the trading group. I'm so proud of everybody over there. Check all that out and more, guys. Again, the link's down below. Also, check out our website, our free newsletter, all that stuff. Link down below, guys. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless.